The 2025 NFL offseason promises to be a real dandy, largely thanks to the upcoming quarterback carousel. Several big-name QBs will be available via trade or free agency, and we simply wouldn't be shocked if at least 10 teams have a new Week 1 starter in 2025. So with that, let's dive into 10 notable NFL quarterbacks who will be on a new team in 2025 and where we think they'll land. Aaron Rodgers, Tennessee Titans. Rodgers and the Titans sounds awfully bizarre at first, but there was a time where nobody ever considered the idea of Tom Brady one day going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or heck, Brett Favre going to the Minnesota Vikings. Hard to imagine Rodgers and the New York Jets continuing their marriage after the embarrassment that was 2024. The four-time MVP should want to join a less dysfunctional organization, and the Jets look poised to begin another rebuild with a new QB. We see a scenario where the Jets trade Rodgers to the Titans in exchange for a mid-round pick. If they release him, well, the Titans will be happy to just scoop him up on a reasonable deal in free agency anyway. The Titans make sense here for Rodgers. Wide receiver Calvin Ridley and running back Tony Pollard each put up over 1,000 yards of offense with Will Levis as their quarterback. The O-line has two promising youngsters in Peter Skoronski and J.C. Latham. Head coach Brian Callahan comes from an offensive background. The Titans had the number 2 pass defense in 2024 as well. So you better believe that if Rodgers comes to Music City, he would easily recruit more weapons. The Jets might be happy to give away Devontae Adams for pennies. Chris Godwin, T. Higgins, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, and Amari Cooper are all pending free agents. Surely Tennessee could land 2 of those guys. Add Rodgers and a couple more weapons to this offense, and the Titans are suddenly the team to beat in the hapless AFC South. Kirk Cousins, Pittsburgh Steelers. Justin Fields' uneven play, followed by Russell Wilson's hot start that concluded with an ice-cold finish, means one thing. The Steelers need to start over at quarterback. Again. The Steelers obviously aren't willing to commit to a rebuild. The decision to bring back head coach Mike Tomlin shows that they want to remain competitive. Love or hate that call by ownership, the Steelers obviously feel like they're a couple of pieces away from being a force in the AFC again. That means adding another veteran signal caller, instead of potentially moving up to draft somebody in the weak 2025 QB class. The Atlanta Falcons would love to find a taker for the last 3 years of Cousins' contract. The 4-time Pro Bowler was benched in favor of rookie Michael Penix Jr. for the final 3 games, leaving eggs on the faces of the Atlanta brass that handed him a 4-year deal worth $180 million in free agency. That, by the way, included $100 million of it being guaranteed. It's not crazy to think that Cousins can regain his Pro Bowl form on a new team. I mean, by the time 2025 rolls around, he'll have been 2 years removed from season-ending surgery on his torn Achilles. So Cousins will hopefully be near or at full strength by then. If Cousins regains about 75 to 80% of his Minnesota Vikings form, he'll be a considerable upgrade over both Fields and Wilson. Pittsburgh has an elite defense, but they need offensive reinforcements with Najee Harris, a pending free agent, and George Pickens potentially hitting the trade block. But like we said on the Rodgers entry, there is a long list of stud free agent wide receivers. Pittsburgh can trade for Cousins, then use free agency or the trade market even to bolster their offense. Add it all up, and the Steelers are the best fit for Cousins. Sam Darnold, Las Vegas Raiders. Everyone agrees that Darnold's implosion in the Minnesota Vikings' ugly wildcard round exit at the hands of the Los Angeles Rams cost him tens of millions of dollars. So instead of potentially getting a big money contract from Minnesota, or instead of landing a lucrative long-term pact elsewhere in free agency, Darnold will likely have to settle on a 1-year prove-it deal. If he's willing to go there, Darnold should get interest from at least half a dozen teams. But at this point, we can't help but envision the idea of him trying to keep his career revival going in Sin City. With the number 6 pick, the Raiders likely play themselves out of getting Miami's Cam Ward or Colorado's Shedeur Sanders. So why not take a chance on Darnold with a 1-year deal and see what he can do? Darnold might be appealed by the chance to play for Tom Brady, the Raiders' new minority owner. There's a good set of weapons here led by rising superstar tight end Brock Bowers and 1,000-yard receiver Jacoby Myers. And you better believe that Brady and Mark Davis will be ready to spend heavily in free agency after a disastrous 2024 season. So Darnold would have a much better O-line and even more weapons compared to what Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew II had last year. Go get Sammy, Tommy. It's the right move. Cooper Rush, Miami Dolphins. Rush cemented himself as one of the league's best backup quarterbacks over the 2021 and 2022 seasons, winning 5 of 6 starts in favor of an injured Dak Prescott. Well, folks got an extended look at the Dallas Cowboys QB2 this season after Prescott required season-ending surgery on his hamstring. Rush went 4-4 on a flawed Dallas team, throwing for 12 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. But Rush is far too good as a backup to commit more years to being Prescott's understudy in Dallas. He won't be a starter off the bat next year, but Rush should go to a team where there's an opportunity to be a temporary QB1. Unfortunately, Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa has a worrisome concussion and injury history. And as we saw in 2022 and 2024, this offense is completely unwatchable when Tua isn't on the field. Miami cost themselves dearly in 2024 by not having a decent backup QB option behind Tagovailoa. An experienced and battle-tested veteran like Rush would provide stability and insurance behind Tua, making him the perfect target for GM Chris Grier when free agency opens. Mac Jones, Indianapolis Colts. Lost in the Jacksonville Jaguars' horrid 2024 season was some steady backup QB work by Mac Jones, who had to make 7 starts because of injuries to Trevor Lawrence. Playing behind a terrible offensive line, a banged-up offense with almost no help from his defense, the former New England Patriots QB completed 65.3% of pass attempts, which was way better than the likes of Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, and CJ Stroud. Jones threw 8 touchdowns and as many interceptions. Again, not so bad considering how lousy the team really was. Folks won't forget how good Jones was for the Patriots in his 2021 rookie year, where he earned a Pro Bowl nod after leading them to the playoffs. The Indianapolis Colts make the most sense for Jones here. The Alabama product isn't going to get a starting job off the bat, but he is still a veteran presence who could provide real competition to starter Anthony Richardson, who is now entering a make-or-break 2025 year. Jones could actually do some damage behind an elite offensive line with star running back Jonathan Taylor and wideouts Josh Downs and Michael Pittman Jr. as his main weapons. If Richardson can't maximize the talent around him, head coach Shane Steichen can use Jones as a fallback option. So a 1 or 2 year deal here would be absolutely fair for Jones. Jameis Winston, Minnesota Vikings. Unless Sam Darnold agrees to a massive hometown discount, and he won't, the Vikings will need to add a new veteran QB to back up rookie JJ McCarthy. Not only do they need to see how McCarthy recovers from season-ending knee surgery, but Kevin O'Connell and company need to see if he's ready for the pros. So yeah, a veteran quarterback is coming to many once free agency opens. 2015 first overall pick Jameis Winston showed some brief flashes as the Cleveland Browns backup quarterback following Deshaun Watson's season-ending surgery. Turnovers will always be a problem, but the whole no risk it, no biscuit philosophy works in an offense with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson. Minnesota can comfortably move forward with McCarthy as the long-term starter, but adding Winston on a cheap 1-year deal to provide veteran insurance would be a win-win for all parties here. Geno Smith, Cleveland Browns. Geno Smith has hit his ceiling with the Seattle Seahawks, so it is now time for GM John Schneider to start over at QB. If Seattle cut Smith this offseason, they'd be saving a whopping $31 million against the cap. Seattle has a fascinating quarterback too in Sam Howell, who's worthy of a look after showing some flashes with the Washington Commanders in 2023. So they should either release Smith and either see what Howell can do, or add another quarterback to compete with the latter for the starting job. The Browns got pretty good QB play out of Joe Flacco in 2023, and Winston had some moments of brilliance in Kevin Stefanski's offense this past season. Clearly, the right veteran QB can manage this offense and prevent it from sinking the way that Deshaun Watson has. Cleveland should take a flyer on Smith, whether he's cut or traded by the Hawks, and see how he fares with a top offensive-minded coach like Stefanski. Worst case scenario, he's a bridge quarterback for 2025 until the Browns find a successor. Or another wild scenario, cut Watson, sign Smith, and use the number 2 pick on Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. Smith can mentor either kid for a year or two before they're ready to run that offense. Seems like a pretty wise move. Derek Carr, New York Jets. The Carr experiment has been, a disappointment in New Orleans, and there is no reason to force a 3rd year together in 2025. Fortunately for the Saints, they have an easy way out of this contract. By designating the former Raider as a post-June 1st roster cut, the cash-strapped Saints can save $30 million against the salary cap. Carr is not the Saints' answer answer given his inconsistent production and injury history. But if the Jets move on from Aaron Rodgers as many expect, they can sign Carr as a bridge option while searching for their long-term guy. Remember, the Jets pursued Carr in 2023 before he signed with New Orleans. If New York doesn't want to begin a full-scale rebuild, they could give Carr a show-me deal and see how he fares. Don't forget, Davante Adams was traded to the Raiders in 2022 simply so he could play with Carr. If the Jets keep the All-Pro wideout, it just makes sense to sign Carr and draft a QB in round 2. Jalen Milroe or Quinn Ewers, anyone? And then have them sit and learn for a year. And who knows, Carr might actually get a handle on this offense featuring Adams, fellow superstar wideout Garrett Wilson, and running back Breece Hall. If not, then, well, whatever. They can hand the keys to his backup. No biggie. Justin Fields, New Orleans Saints. If the Saints do move on from Carr, oh, you better believe that they'll be in the free agent market for another QB. They can't afford a pricey veteran like Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers, but pending Steelers free agent Justin Fields would be worthy of a look. Spencer Rattler didn't do much to show that he can start in this league. With the number 9 pick, New Orleans is also out of range to get Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward in this draft. Fields got 6 starts in Pittsburgh before he was benched in favor of Russell Wilson. So if you're New Orleans, why not see if this dual threat QB could do some damage in an offense led by Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, and Rashid Shaheed. Drew Brees, Jameis Winston, and Derek Carr never overwhelmed defenses with their legs. It's time for New Orleans to bank on a super athletic dual threat QB. And Fields might just enjoy a career revival the way Baker Mayfield has for the NFC rival Tampa Bay Buccaneers. New Orleans can roll the dice on Fields in free agency. If he doesn't cut it, they can embrace the tank and get a top QB prospect in 2026. Russell Wilson, New York Giants. The market for Wilson is not going to be massive by any means, but he should still find a starting gig considering just how many teams are seeking a quarterback upgrade. Wilson will be 37 next season, so it would be a stunner if somebody gave him a multi-year deal in free agency. But the 9-time Pro Bowler kind of makes sense for the New York Giants, who can't realistically enter 2025 with Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito as their QBs. The Giants have plenty of options with the number 3 pick. Maybe they take Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward if either is available, or maybe they go with two-way superstar Travis Hunter. In either scenario, it kind of just makes sense to sign Wilson as a short-term guy. I mean, he could mentor Sanders or Ward. Or if they take Hunter, just imagine what Wilson might do with the Buffalo Star and Malik Neighbors as his top 2 receivers. The Giants tried building their offense around Daniel Jones, whose only real strength was his legs. Wilson isn't nearly as fast as Jones, but he is still very mobile and would provide far less mind-numbing turnovers. Hopefully. Given the circumstances and the makeup of the Giants offense, I think it's worth taking a chance on Wilson. Worst case, he implodes and helps you tank for a higher draft pick in 2026 anyways. But hey, which other big-name NFL quarterbacks will switch up teams in 2025? And if they do, where do you think they'll end up? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking that like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then hey, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.